Welcome to the United States of Small Business, a podcast where the essence of American entrepreneurship is celebrated in every episode. With host John Quick at the helm, join us as we embark on a journey through the heart of the nation, uncovering the inspiring stories of small business owners from coast to coast. Experience the vibrant energy of bustling cities and the serene beauty of small towns, all while discovering how individuals are turning their entrepreneurial dreams into reality, even against the greatest odds. Each episode brings you face to face with the dreamers, creators, and doers who form the economic backbone of our country, all sharing their spirit of innovation and resilience. Whether you are in the early stages of sowing the seeds for your own business, scaling new heights in your current venture, or simply captivated by tales of grit and triumph, you are in the right place. Tune in on platforms like Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and beyond. For deeper insights and to connect with the heart and soul of America's main streets, visit UnitedStatesOfSmallBusiness.com. Subscribe to United States of Small Business with host John Quick now and be inspired by the powerful stories of entrepreneurship, community, and the unwavering pursuit of the American dream. Begin your journey of inspiration with us today.
Welcome back to the United States of Small Business podcast, where we dive into the stories of some of the most influential entrepreneurs shaping our economy. I'm your host, John Quick. Today, we're joined by a giant in the tax preparation industry, John Hewitt. John is the mastermind behind Jackson Hewitt and Liberty Tax Services, two of the leading tax firms that have revolutionized how tax services are delivered across North America. In our conversation today, John will share the journey of starting and growing these powerhouse companies, the innovation that set them apart, and his personal insight into what takes to be successful in this very competitive marketplace. We'll also hear how the challenges and triumphs along the way and advice he has for new entrepreneurs venturing into the business journeys. So let's start and learn from one of the best entrepreneurs in the business. So without further ado, John, welcome to the United States of Small Business podcast.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, this will be fun talking a little bit about your story and how you're empowering entrepreneurs today. But first, take me back. Give me the story of how you started your first very successful tax business that turned into a huge success, Jackson Hewitt.
Yeah, part of my many blessings is when I was in college, I took a H&R Block tax course and I loved it. And I started working for H&R Block and I loved it. And 12 years later, I was running 250 H&R Block locations and I was having the time of my life. I'd already made my life goal, right? I wanted to be a block regional director. And then my dad interceded and you're not old enough to remember World Without Computers, but he was the CFO of a public company and he liked the little Apple he bought by mail better than the mainframe that was running his public company. And so he said, John, let's computerize taxes. And so it took him 6 months to convince me, but he finally convinced me and he left his job, I left mine, and in 1981, we built the first tax software for an Apple computer. Nice. No one wanted it, way ahead of its time. And now I got another blessing. I saw an ad in the Wall Street Journal for a company in Virginia Beach called Mel Jackson Tax Service. And Mel had died, and he had 6 offices, all here in Virginia Beach. The biggest blessing is the weather here is a lot nicer than in Buffalo. And so I moved my family down here in August of 82. We acquired 6 Mel Jackson locations, and we set out to be bigger than H&R Block. Now, H&R Block had 9,000. So we just needed to add 8,995 offices to be bigger than Block. And Jackson Hewitt today has 6,000. And so we did very well. We changed the name to Jackson Hewitt. We merged the 2 companies, we went public, and we sold it for 15 years later for $483 million. So that was my first venture, was a major venture, was Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
That's awesome. So, a lot of people in your shoes that thing and sold it for $480 million might go sip Mai Tais on a beach, but that was not your case. You decided to jump back in and start another wildly successful tax business, Liberty. Tell me about that and why you decided to kind of jump back in and keep going in the business world.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I've always been self-confident and may appear to be cocky. And I knew even though I grew up poor, I knew I was going to be rich, and I knew I was going to make millions of dollars. And I thought to myself when I was a kid, when I was immature and not very thoughtful, I said, "Well, I'll just make a few $1 million and retire." And then once I began to get wealthy and began to change people's lives, I realized that the treasure at the end of the rainbow, when they give you that big check, that's anticlimactic. It's the 15-year journey that was the joy, not the one time you get the check. And don't know what I would have done, what I would do. Changing lives is, that's our mission statement, is having fun, improving lives. And that's way more fun than all of my hobbies. And so we jumped right back in and we started Liberty Tax when my non-compete ended. And not only did we grow faster than my own name, my own software, my own system, my own people at Jackson Hewitt, but we grew faster than them and H&R Block combined. We almost opened for 12 years. We virtually opened a new office per day. So we opened 4,000 offices in 12 years. Top 10 fastest growing franchisor ever. Again, public company worth $500 million.
So what was it that in you that wanted to also empower folks? Because one of the things that you've done along your career is have other people come alongside and be able to become franchise owners. I think that that's something to be said about that, because it's one thing to have your own company and you kind of get to reap all the benefits and the rewards, but you did that for other folks, thousands of people, to be able to open their own franchises. How important that for you, knowing that other people were going to be?
Yeah, I brought in over 5,000 franchisees, and 1,000 of them became millionaires. And I didn't realize it until I just saw within the last 30 days on LinkedIn or Facebook, I saw Denzel Washington, and he surprised me, and he said, "You know who the most selfish people on the planet are?" He said, "People that help others." And I said, "Wow," I was taken aback because I thought those were the best people on the planet. And he said, "They're selfish because it's so much fun and it's so much joy and it's so rewarding. The most rewarding thing on the planet is helping others and improving their lives." And so I got hooked on improving people's lives. And it's standard. Not everyone is appreciative. In fact, most people are not, in my opinion, properly appreciative. But the few that are, and watching their not, when you change someone's life and you make them a millionaire, or most of them become multimillionaires, right? You don't just change one generation. You change their children and their children's children. I mean, it's so fantastic. There's nothing I'd rather do than improve people's lives.
So John, you started these two wildly successful tax preparation businesses, but you decided not to stop there. You have since opened up Loyalty Brands, which has a number of different franchise solutions for folks. Talk to me about Loyalty Brands and why you're excited about this kind of new venture in your life.
Yeah, each of my first two ventures into franchising were just one brand, right? One brand with Block, one brand with Jackson Hewitt, one brand with Liberty. While I was waiting for my non-compete to expire, we acquired a number of different brands in a number of industries, and just to expand our reach and to do cross marketing. Because, for example, our fastest growing brand, Zoom and Groomin', mobile dog grooming, the largest franchisee has 5,000 customers. Well, all 5,000 of them need tax returns. And our largest tax service office does 4,000 returns, and 100 of them have pets, and most of them need grooming. So there's an opportunity for cross marketing. So all of our companies are franchisors, helping people become self-employed. and changing their lives. And but the fastest growing by far is the mobile pet grooming. People just love their pets. I've quickly fallen in love with the pet industry. So we have 8 brands, as I said, but the 2 fastest growing are the tax division. We're growing faster than Block and Jackson Hewitt and Liberty, but also mobile grooming is growing the fastest of any mobile grooming service in the country. And by the end of this year, we'll be the largest in the country.
That's pretty awesome. So if, if you could give advice to somebody that maybe is just going to start their first business, or maybe they're contemplating on jumping in and starting a next location, what's some practical business advice you'd give to folks that are kind of in the beginning stages of their entrepreneur journey?
Yeah, first of all, I'll give you a phrase and then I'll add to it, right? My favorite advice for people in general is find something you love to do, work hard, and persevere. And I think with me, it's not thank God it's Friday, thank God it's Monday. If on Monday morning you're going to work and you're not looking forward to it, you're going to the wrong place. Life's too short. So first of all, find something you love to do, that you enjoy. And again, life's too short to be miserable. And then work hard. Nothing worthwhile comes easy. Everything worthwhile requires hard work. And then the number one attribute in long-term success in anything, in any relationship, in any job, in any sport, the number one most important attribute is perseverance. So those 3 things. But I do want to caution people that are thinking self-employment, because 2/3 of Americans think they want to be self-employed, but it's not as easy as you think. And half of the people that want to can never do it. And they can't do it because either there's no one to boss them around. There's no one to say, you got to be there at 8 a.m. on Monday morning, and you got to stay until 6 p.m., or you have to do this and this. There's no one giving them instruction, and they're not self-starting enough and independent enough to take independent action. Because the 10 most important 2-letter words that you need to understand, especially if you're self-employed, is if it is to be, it is up to me. And Mr. Independent wannabe entrepreneur, if it is to be, it is up to you. So make sure that, and then some just don't have the risk-taking tolerance. I've never seen a human being skate through life without adversity. Everyone gets knocked down. Everyone gets impediments and difficulties they have to overcome. And many people get knocked down and they stay down. So the winners get knocked down and they get right back up and keep going. And that's what perseverance really is getting knocked down and always getting back up again.
So what do you think about, today's current climate? Do you think it's harder to start a business today than it was for you when you first started in the 80s? And if so, why?
I think that it may be a little bit more difficult because there's more government intervention, and overcoming government intervention can be very hurtful and set you back. But it's usually just an extra cost and an extra time. So, for example, in our roofing company, it may take a year to get your license as a roofer. Or in our inspection boy franchise, it may take 6 months to get licensed and become a home inspector. So the government regulation has caused extra delay and extra costs in becoming self-employed today in some industries. In some industries, it doesn't matter, right? You can be a taxpayer with very little, believe it or not, very little government regulation to start up. Same with groomers. And so there are some industries that are adversely affected, some that are not.
So, John, you've had a wildly successful career. Who's somebody that you've kind of looked up to along the way and been like a hero in your life, and why?
I think it's sort of it's Jesus Christ. I haven't had any mentors in business. I've learned from thousands of people. I learned from smart people. I learned from average people. I learned from dumb people. I learned from great operators. I learned from poor operators. In terms of business, my career, when I was a kid, I thought I would think that the CEOs of those big companies like Ford and General Motors and back then there was no Walmart back then, but there was Sears, and I thought those guys were geniuses. But it turns out, as I got to meet them, they're not. So there's no school in this country to learn how to be a CEO, so except the school of hard knocks. So most of what I've learned has been on the field, in the battle, in the skirmish, in the war. But my life and my principles are based on Jesus Christ and the Ten Commandments.
I think that's awesome. I think that that's something to be proud of. In today's culture, the media doesn't like that, but I think a lot of wildly successful men and women in the business world have a strong faith base. So I think that's pretty awesome. John, last question to you is this: what do you think is one of the biggest traits that you've seen in successful business owners or entrepreneurs out there? What's one of the things that you can point to that, man, that's kind of a true trait for all these guys and gals that have been successful? You've had the opportunity to have and start other, over 4,000 or 5,000 folks become entrepreneurs. You've seen those traits along the way. What's some of those biggest strengths you've seen in those successful people?
Yeah, Tom Watson Sr., one of the founders of IBM, said it very, very well. He said, "Give me 100 great engineers to start a company, or 100 people with great attitude." He said, "I'll take the people with great attitude because you can teach engineering. You can't teach attitude." And one of the biggest mistakes I've made in my career is trying to change people's attitude. And while I've been successful for a day or a week or a month in changing someone's attitude, they pop back into their bad attitude. So the number one thing is everyone's faced with adversity, and it's how you react to it, how you look at it. And so the key to ultimate success in my experience is attitude, having the right attitude.
That's awesome. So 20 minutes has gone by in a flash, John. Any last minute thoughts here before we head off?
No, just work hard, right? I mean, find something you love to do. My mission statement says it all, right? Having fun, improving lives.
That's awesome. Well, folks, I'm going to put the link to loyalty brands in the podcast description. If you are on the lookout to maybe become a franchise owner or looking into opportunities where you could dip your feet into the entrepreneurial world, I really want to encourage you to go take a look at this. John is somebody who has been very successful in the entrepreneur space and helped other people, lots and lots of literally thousands of other people become franchise owners. So John, we wish you nothing but success. And for folks listening in, I want to encourage you to go back and listen to the whole thing. We hope that everybody has a phenomenal rest of their week. And until next time, I'm John Quick from the United States of Small Business Podcast. Thanks so much.